Today we're going to review the Schuberth E2 and the C5, so let's get straight into it. Since Lewis has finally passed his test,
did my my full DAS, 0 to full license basically.
Yeah.
We've done a whole video on it, so if you want to watch that, just click the link in the description or click the title card. But yes,
so today we're going to actually be able to review both the helmets on board, on the go, and we're actually going to go to one of our favourite cafes in Newlands Corner, have a little chat there, talk about the features, swap helmets, and then ride back and then give our final thoughts. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
Let's go. The Schuberth E2. You've probably seen some footage of it already, but there's a few things I want to talk about when it comes to the helmet. So the ventilation, I think Lewis will find it the same, is fantastic. If anything, a bit too good. This little two-way mechanism that they have, so you have a chin vent here and then on for your visor itself, so if you had it cracked open to stop it from fogging up, that works brilliantly as well. I really feel the rush of air at the back of my head with the top vent as well, which is something I haven't actually really felt so much with other helmets. The peak itself gets a little bit in the way. It acts a little bit like a sail when you're trying to do your shoulder checks, especially when you're going at like 70 miles an hour. So that's a bit of an inconvenience, but again, you can remove this peak, or if you're looking for a helmet like this, just get the C5, which is basically the equivalent of this, just without the peak. It's pretty good all round so far, quite enjoying it.
Yeah, so I mean, in itself, it is quite a comfy helmet. I'm so used to my Arrow. The reason why I bought my Arrow is because it is so comfy in the first place. But Arrows are quite known for being really noisy. They focus a lot on safety and ventilation. So in that instance, they are quite a bare bones helmet. So this feels like it's got a lot more tech on it, really. It feels bulkier, probably because of the extra tech. But yeah, no, overall it's quite comfy. The cheek pads are soft, and I tell you what, I say again, being so used to my Arrow and it being quite noisy, this is really quiet. Even talking in the helmet, I can hear myself, whereas I talk in the Arrow, I can constantly hear wind noise really in the background. This is really nice and quiet. You get the odd wind noise, just wind sort of circling up around the visor elements and stuff. But yeah, other than that, quite nice. Start to hear my exhaust again. Whether that's just because of the high wind noise or the quietness of the helmet, I don't know. I quite enjoy listening to my exhaust, so take a quiet helmet as you will, bad or good. But slowing down, I can hear my exhaust rubbing in, which makes me quite happy, so. We are just coming up on Newlands Corner now, the cafe. We're just going to have a stop. Me and Tom are going to have a quick chat just about our experience with the helmet so far, see how he's got on with the E2, and then yeah, we'll see what's what.
Let's have a little talk about the helmets then. How have we found them? How have you found the C5 so far?
The C5, if I'm honest, it has quite surprised me.
Yeah?
Yeah, being so used to my Arrow, you'll hear me as I'm talking on the bike on the way up here, that I compare it to my Arrow quite a bit.
Yeah.
I bought my Arrow for comfort, and putting this on, it's actually surprisingly comfy, probably down to the interior.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought the interior padding, because they have such a versatile range now, they even say that they can cater for extreme head shapes. That I found as soon as you put it on top of your noggin, it was fantastic, wasn't it? It just fits quite well.
The soft interior inside, yeah, it's not harsh on your cheeks. It's not harsh anywhere really. So yeah, putting it on straight away was quite a surprise.
Yeah.
And having it on for a long time. How long were we riding for? 35, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
You know, over time, I didn't find it uncomfortable at all. It wasn't pinching anywhere. Obviously down to sizing at least, but yeah, it's a comfy helmet overall. What about the E2?
Brilliant, I think. The padding in it is fantastic. I quite enjoyed it. It's very plush. They've also done this certification that will pop up on the screen, but basically means that there's no harsh chemicals in their padding either, which is nice to know.
So that's the Okotex.
Yes, that's the
lineup.
one. Yeah, that's the one. Now, when it comes to the ventilation, how do you find it on the C5?
Yeah, okay. I mean, obviously, again, I'm comparing it to the Arrow because obviously it's my helmet I use every day.
Yeah.
Arrows are known to be quite noisy, purely because of their ventilation.
Yep.
On the Concept XE, the model I have, there's only one vent, whereas this I've got multiple vents. I tried both of them open. I'm getting nice ventilation through. It's actually quite nice.
Yeah,
over the top of the head at least as well.
Yeah, I think over the top of the head, it was absolutely that was brilliant for me. I opened the top vent, put my head down a little bit to look down at the speedo. I just instantly felt a breeze of air at the back of my head. Honestly, I've not felt that with any other helmet thus far.
Quite impressive.
Yeah, because honestly, when people were saying like, oh, you can get the ventilation for your helmet, and it's like, oh, you got the exhaust vents and stuff, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah.
But this, it was without question of a doubt, it was brilliant.
So on the C5 and the E2, the setup is pretty much the same. So you've got one front at the front, the top vent, and the exhaust vent at the back as well. So
yeah. I think mine looks more substantial. It looks really
it does.
cool.
I did say on the camera on the way back up here, like riding behind you, looking back at the helmet, it's actually really cool looking.
It looks really cool. It's very aggressive in terms of its looks. When it comes to the ventilation at the front, even like you were saying, you have three positions. Oh, sorry, open and close, or multiple positions at the chin. But then you also have a vent for the visor, so it doesn't fog up.
Yeah. So with this, so Tom had a pin lock in the E2. I don't actually have a pin lock in the C5. And I was quite surprised. So as soon as I put the visor down, obviously I was getting a lot of fog. And when you stand still, it takes a while to clear.
Right.
When you're on the road and you open that vent, which directly feeds air inside of the visor, it clears really quickly. It's a really handy vent to have. Yeah. However, yeah, at a standstill, it acts like a normal visor. It's going to fog up quite quickly, so just be aware. But yeah, with that open on normal riding speeds, you're fine. It's actually a really nice feature to have.
Both these helmets, if you don't know already, are ECE 2206. So they reach the latest helmet safety standards that we now need to comply to, which is brilliant to know. Let's talk about the wind noise itself. I know you touched on it a second ago, but on their spec sheet, they said they did 200 hours worth of wind tunnel testing in order to get it as quiet as possible, and they've got it to around 85 decibels at around 100 kilometers per hour, which is quite good.
It's impressive. It is impressive. The reason why they are so quiet is because they get the gap so tight at the bottom, and because it being a flip front, it makes it so easy to do that.
Yeah.
Well, they've now perfected it. So when you put the C5 or the E2 on, when you close it, the gap that leaves around your neck is so tight that little or no air gets in underneath the bottom, so it eradicates any air getting in from the bottom and causing a load of wind noise.
Yeah.
So the only wind noise you're going to get are from the vents and other features on the helmet.
If they're open, and you'll definitely know when they're open.
Exactly, yeah.
Another thing that is more specified to the E2, let's talk about things that aren't so great, or something that could use a bit of improvement, or whatever you think anyway. For me, it's definitely the peak. But then again, we're doing it at around 80 miles an hour, so it's going to be around speeds that we won't normally get anyway. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it looks cool.
Yeah.
But I'll let you continue about your experience with the peak.
Albeit cool, the peak can be a bit obtrusive if you're going to do motorway miles. I think if you're going to do touring, you definitely go for the C5. This is obviously for your adventure touring, so if you want to go off-roading a little bit, it'll be absolutely fine. But at 70 miles an hour, I did feel it catching the wind a little bit. Not so much straight on, but as you're doing your shoulder checks, it felt like it was trying to yank me over my handlebar, over my shoulder. Another thing is at traffic lights, if you don't have it all the way up, if you haven't used the quick adjustment that they have actually, it does block the view of the traffic lights if they're higher up in the sky, which is a little bit annoying. But again, we pulled over at the petrol station. I adjusted it with the quick adjustments at the side here, and actually put the peak up, didn't I? So it was actually moved everything up. So you literally just take the tabs off at the side here, if I can do it in this one go.
That's the peak. Yeah, the peak is quick.
Sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry. The peak itself. If I get like that, two twisters like that, and it's off again. So if you did want to run it without the peak, you could, which is really nice.
And it looks like a C5 without the peak.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It really does. And sorry, going back to the wind noise and stuff, the turbulators they have on the top of the visor, if you notice that as well, just tries to produce more clean air over the top of your helmet, and I guess allow for that more aerodynamic feel when you're going on the road.
I didn't know that.
Nice thing that they also added on the visor itself is the fact that you have two options as to which side you want to use in order to open the visor.
Yeah, really handy, especially when we were at traffic lights and we pulled over a couple of times. Just flipping it up, I didn't have to worry about which hand I was using to take off the handlebars. It's just easy one, get up and done.
we didn't get to really actually test out the intercoms because we don't have them on us. But they use their inbuilt intercom system that they have. It uses mesh. It's based off the 50S, the Senna 50S that is, and all the speakers are already pre-built into the helmet. So all you have to do is actually get the intercom, I believe.
Just plug and play.
Plug and play.
At
Quick
the front
and
of the
easy.
C5, I don't know if it's the same on the E2, you do actually have a little option for the microphone as well. So all you do on the helmets when you're fitting the intercom is literally peel out the existing parts like the plastic or the rubber connectors or the rubber facades, and it's literally just plug and play. So right at the front you've got the microphone, plug that straight in and you're good to go basically. Same with the brains of the intercom unit as well. So
yeah, overall, I've not really any faults with the helmet so far.
no, I mean the only thing I said when on the ride up here, you know, the wind noises, it was okay. It's miles different compared to the Arrow, but I did find that when the visor was open, if I was rising with just the visor open, I had a little vortex up here, which was causing a bit of wind noise. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, once you pick up some speed, you're not going to be riding with the visor open anyway.
Unless you want to look like you're crying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So thanks. Let's swap helmets and get our way home, possibly. Back to Infinity.
Make our way back to Infinity Camberley. Yeah, we'll swap helmets and I'll see how I get on with the A1, and I'm sure I'll enjoy the peak.
So we're back from our little escapades out on the road. I found it to be quite insightful. The stark differences between the two helmets.
Yeah, it's one big difference, and it's very obvious.
It's the peak.
Yeah, it's the peak. Yeah. So on the way there, you had trouble. I didn't really know until obviously we stopped the first time that you were having trouble with it, and then you mentioned it, and I was sort of wanting to see what it was on the way back. Yeah, and honestly, it causes. I mean, it's obvious, it's logical that it's going to cause some turbulence.
Yeah.
While you're riding, but you don't realise how obvious until you do hit 70 mile an hour. I was saying on the way back that, you know, if you know you're going to be doing high speeds in this,
you take it off when
you take it off, or you put it onto its lowest setting.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing about the E2
yeah.
is that there's 3 settings on it. So that's the highest settings. You can move it down 1, 2. Well, that's the lowest setting there.
Yeah.
So that will stop as much wind as possible getting underneath it. But still, when you're doing your lifesavers and you're checking from lane to lane, you're still going to get wind hit there, and it's still going to push it.
And the only problem with it having it so low down is it is now in your peripheral vision.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So you're fighting between one choice and the other.
Yeah. But the easiest option is just to take it off.
Exactly. Take it off.
Rock it without it, to be honest. Now, when you're on about the visor fogging up, very true. But the vents at the front here, this one here,
they do a decent job, don't they?
They do a really good job, in all honesty. Now let's talk about the helmets themselves, because we actually didn't talk about that when we were having our nice little coffee up at Newlands. The shell sizes you can get in both of these is XS to triple XL, so 3XL, made out of fiberglass with a reinforced carbon fibre as well. And something that we need to say is how light it is, because this felt weightless on top of my head, the C5. When I was doing my shoulder checks, I felt nothing. It felt like I was not wearing a helmet, which is, I guess, a good thing.
Yeah.
But it feels super protective in this.
So, yeah, I mean, the E2 is 16.95, obviously, with the extra weight of the peak.
Yeah.
Is going to count into a factor there. But, yeah, just getting off the bike and carrying the helmets in, you don't really notice it, really, do you?
No, not at all. And they will set you... so you're starting off at around £520-ish, around there, in that sort of price range. So it is really reasonably priced for what it is, to be honest. And you get a lot of tech in this.
Yeah, a lot of tech.
You know, you've got an Aeros system in this. This is roll-off system. So that basically means it's got like a little strap there. So if you do come off your motorcycle, it doesn't come off. It doesn't roll off your head. So it's nice and secure on that front. So nice bit of tech that's within this helmet. The seal at the bottom of the helmet, as we can see here, the ports anyway, especially on that one, super sealed, right? It's just so tight.
Yeah, you feel a big difference between the E2 and the C5. Yeah, when this has come down, I don't know whether it's the strap giving you a bit more secureness underneath, and it makes you feel like this is tighter. But I generally think on the E2, the closure around the chin is tighter.
Yeah.
So it feels more secure in the head. I did actually say as well, I think maybe the pressure of that, depending on obviously who you are and what helmet you're wearing, but everyone's got a different head shape. So when I found that putting this on, the tension maybe down on the bottom of my chin was pulling the helmet down slightly.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is probably when you said he was giving you a bit of a frowny face.
Yeah.
He was doing the same to me as well.
Right, okay.
So depending on head shape, it could be different for different people, but that's what I found. But again, that's the reason why it's going to be so quiet, is because it's pulling tension on the bottom, and that space around your neck is going to be a lot smaller. So yeah.
So, final thoughts. Who do we think this is actually for? Well, it's quite obvious in the stark differences of the helmets that who it's going to cater for the best, right?
Yeah.
So the E2 is definitely for your adventure rider, lower speeds, and if you want to go a bit of off-roading, definitely can do that in this helmet. It's fantastic in that sense. If you want to go long touring, long distance rides and what have you, then definitely the C5 is the one to go for, in my eyes.
Talking about longevity as well, just depending on the sort of riding you're doing,
Yeah.
I think both helmets cater for a long type of ride. Obviously at high speeds, this probably not, but in terms of having it on your head for a long time, you'll have no trouble with these two.
Yeah. When it comes to the... I keep going back to the wind noise because a lot of people always ask this anyway. I feel like I can comfortably wear this for 2 hours. I said it earlier in the video. It's 2 hours and then I'll probably put some earplugs in at some point just for a safety precaution, you know, just a safety measure.
Yeah, you would, I think.
In most cases, if you're on the weekend, you're in a rush and you're just going to chuck the helmet on, this is definitely a helmet you'd want to go for to protect those ears as well. So, yeah. If you did like this video, give us a like, comment down below what you think about the E2 and the C5. Be sure to subscribe, ride safe, and see you all soon.